Good day everybody, we are Gluten and we're going to tackle popular art. So I have this that popular art is the most popular art today. It's referred to as contemporary art. So I know some of you seems to be familiar with this popular art. So popular art is perhaps one of the most significant art movement in 20th century. But what makes an artwork pop and who were the artists?
So now, let's discuss what is popular art. Pop art is that based on popular culture and the mass media. It reflects current values of society or culture. It uses image borrowed from advertising, photography, comic strips, and other mass media sources. Pop art is influenced from two-dimensional image, known for its 2D shape, bold colors, hard edges, everyday subject matter, commercial techniques, and uses of irony and satire. Pop art emerged as a reaction to the World War II. Mechanical production is also associated with the artist uses mechanical means of reproduction or daring techniques, which are screen printing, machine produced, emphasis on mass production. So, let's proceed to where did pop art came from. Visual art movement that began mid-1950s in Britain, late 1950s in the US. The independent group founded in London 1952 was precursor to the pop art movement. The arts in the mass media, according to Lawrence Alloway, in which articulated the key concept, popular mass culture led to term pop art.
And now, I will be discussing the history of pop art. In 1950s, there has period of optimism, consumer boom, products mass marketed and advertised. Pop art characterized a sense of optimism during the post-war consumer boom of 1950s and 1960s. As I said earlier, the uses images is borrowed from advertising such as photography, comic strips, and other mass media that reflects current values of society or culture. The independent group aimed at symbols or the images from media. It coincided with the globalization of youth culture and pop music phenomenon.
Pop art is widely interpreted as either a reversal or reaction to abstract expressionism or an expansion upon it. Pop art drew upon more Dadaist elements. Dadaism explored some of the same topics, but pop art replayed the destructive, satirical, and anarchic elements of the Dada movement with a reverence of mass culture and consumerism.
Characteristics. Brings back the subject, questions art as a commodity and as a unique art form. Everyday subject matter, marked by clear lines, bold color, sharp paintwork, clear representations of symbols, objects, and people common in pop culture.
So we have here some of the recognized and known artists of pop art. Firstly, we have Richard Hamilton and his popular piece Just What Is It that makes today's home so different, so appealing. And it is known as the first and true pop work of art. So if you would try to recall one aspect that makes pop art unique is that it uses unrelated materials removed from its known context and then combined to make a piece. You can see it here on Hamilton's piece, where he used images of a bodybuilder, a burlesque dancer, conveniences modern life provided, including a vacuum cleaner, canned ham, and a television, and even a giant lollipop with a pop label on it. So he constructed the piece using a variety of cutouts from magazine advertisements. Next is Andy Warhol, and he is regarded as one of the most influential artists on the 20th century. One of his notable pieces is the 25 Colored Marilyns. The piece is not necessarily Marilyn Monroe herself, it is a reproduction of the publicity photograph. In the modern 25 Colored Marilyns, Warhol used the silk screen process which he is popular from, then a popular method of commercial print making to duplicate Marilyn's face. The uneven inking of the image translates her face with different degrees of clarity, and the tilt of the grid gives the piece a handmade quality. And a little trivia, he painted the piece 4 months after Marilyn Monroe's death. Lastly, but definitely not the least, we have Eduardo Paolozzi. So he is a Scottish artist and a prominent influencer on what became the pop art movement. One of his pieces is entitled I Was a Rich Man's Plaything, and it is a collage proved an important foundational work for the pop art movement. So, the collage was made from cuttings from American magazines and advertisements mounted on card. He also uses different materials and combined it into a one piece. So he combined pop culture documents like a Pulp Fiction novel cover, a Coca-Cola advertisement, and a military recruitment advertisement.
So now let us discuss the differences between American and European pop art. Although they have the same subject, European pop art is driven from the perspective of watching American culture from the outside, while American pop art are from the perspective of the Americans themselves living the culture. To the British, it is more of an academic approach, employing irony, sarcasm, and parody on what American popular imagery represented and its power to manipulate lifestyle. The 1950s art group, the Independent Group, is regarded as the precursor for the British pop art movement. So yes, that will be all for the topic pop art. I would like to thank my team, John Pamayloan, Jimel Perez, Nicole Pender, Marjin Pasang, and especially our leader, Aina Pundak, for making this presentation successful. Thank you for watching.